Morning, I'm Ian. I'm an alcoholic. Uh, it's been a while since I was this nervous, tried not to think about it. Even on Wednesday, I didn't think about it. And I'm just sitting looking at the room with my friends, and like every person here besides Mandy, like I never knew 4 years ago when I came into treatment, and everybody's playing a big part in my life. Like on Wednesday, I got so many messages from friends, but the one that stood out was the guy I just got to rehab, and I came down for a medical, and me and him were in the car, two lost boys, and we shared the same week of sobriety, and we've always been in contact, and he's other side of the world, but the bond that we have and the love that we have for each other is that kind of, for me, simplifies or shows what this program does, because I can't do it alone. And so I start from a kid. I was the last born in my family. I grew up in Durban, in Newlands. There's a small Indian community, and my dad's Indian. My mom's from the Northern Cape. She's Afrikaans, colored, and I got an older brother who's 9 years older than me, and a sister that's 11 years older than me. And I grew up with nothing but love. I was the Lat Lamaki, Mom used to call me, and I was always showered with love. So I always felt special, like always. And I also looked different where I grew up. And I should get a lot of attention, but I was always shy, and it was never enough. I always doubted myself. I lived in a lot of fear. I should always have morbid thoughts. Like if my dad was late from work, I would think he died. Or picture like someone come and tell us he was in a crash, or stuff like that. And I just latching on. I remember latching on to love and attention from a young age. Also, my mom was quite abusive. My dad was. I would become just like him. He was very abusive, and I learned manipulation. I learned fear, intimidation. I learned that money can change people's feelings. I've learned all that forms of control. I was put through it, and that's where I think my resentment started towards my dad. I watched my mom get beat up. I watched my siblings get beat up. I didn't get, and I should feel guilty, like why they only getting attacked, and I'm being treated special. And he loved me, like he did everything for me. When I was about 4 years old, my mom took me to Runaway, and we hopped on a train to the Northern Cape, but my dad intercepted the train like in Maritzburg, and he pulled me out. And I remember I was 4 or 5, and I had so much of guilt around that because he called me and I went to him. And my mom had to come back a month later. And I don't think she knew what she was doing, obviously, but she would say things like, I only came back for you, I came back for you, and I should carry that guilt, And things weren't so bad after that. My siblings all continued to live the life they live, but they always protected me. And it's only something that my sister told me about a few years ago, like, you never see the worst, we always protected you. And I'm grateful for that, because I don't know what they went through, but I assumed, and I tried to carry that hatred with. I'm sharing this because there was a major part of my resentment, to my dad, and something I had to work through. And I'm grateful for the love, because without a shadow of a doubt, I felt love my entire life from my family. So I would grow up and go to primary school, and again, I would do well in school. I was liked, but I was never ambitious. I was never interested in achieving. If someone just gave me a compliment, my job was done, I went into high school, and again, I was liked, and I had a lot of friends, I enjoyed life. I enjoyed my life, I would have, if I looked in my head, I would be sad, fearful, depressed. But when I lived in the moments, I would enjoy life because things are always good around me. And I had my first drink at 14, and it was at a 16 party, and I felt good, I felt good, and I remember fantasizing about that moment and reflecting on it for like years, because I didn't drink again until I was 16. And but I remember that moment. I can still remember that moment, we were at a club and the party, and I had that sambuca, and wow, it was just one, and I can remember that moment. And my friends used to drink also, and they were older than me. When I was 16, my friends were in campus. They had matriculated and went to campus. So I used to drink with them. And then I should take alcohol to school for excursions, and none of my classmates drank. And I could drink brandy straight and Coke, brandy and Coke, before we get onto the bus to go for the excursion. Some guys would try it with me and they'll end up throwing up or they'll pass out in the bus, and I was fine. I would be like enjoying those places to go for, and I just loved alcohol. Alcohol for me was, it made me like 10 times who I was, you know. I loved it. And I finished matric and my parents wanted me to study. By then, life started getting better as a whole because my brother had studied law and he started doing well. My sister was working, and so we grew up quite poor, but then when they started working, life started getting better. And I always should be like, this is meant for me. God wants me to have a better life. And, you know, I never ever, I was very spoiled, very entitled. And I would do things like, they're doing it for me. And they used to do a lot for me, and they still do. And it was almost like, I'm special, you know, like I'm special and they're going to do this for me. And that's my life now. I'll be taken care of. And my brother moved out, my sister moved out. And by the time I was 19, I was drinking a lot, blackouts, a lot of anger. My father and I started having physical altercations by then. We started at 16, and I shouldn't fight back. By the time I was 19, I started fighting back. And it should end bad, you know. And the first time I moved out of my house, I was about 20. I went to go move in with my sister because our fights were so bad. And then after about 3 months, my parents wanted me to come back, so I went back home. And we were okay. We tried to stay civil, you know. And I got into a relationship when I was 21. And that kind of made me feel special and happy. And it took away a lot of my time. So I never spent time at home. I never spent time around my dad. My dad was, our relationship at that time was, when he comes from work, I'll go into my room or I'll go to the pub. I was never in the same space as him. And I was happy with my relationship, you know, made me feel good. And then slowly when I look back, like the behavior of the control, manipulation, jealousy, envy started coming out, you know, the stuff that I do to myself to kind of make me not worth anything, which I've come to see in recovery. You know, it's all me. I do these things to me. The world doesn't do that to me. The world doesn't make me feel inferior. It doesn't make me scared. I do that to myself. And the first cracks were there. Through this time, my parents tried to get me to study. They paid for me to go do law. I went for the first semester. I dropped out. I went to work with my brother. He gave me a job. He told me, go and study law and you can join the practice. I went the next year. I dropped out. My dad said, okay, go do BCom. I went the following year. I dropped out. They tried again when I was about 26 to go do law again. I dropped out. I don't know why, but for me it was just make money, enjoy the weekend, and that was it. That's all I did. And with that came, there was a lot of Jekyll and Hyde a long time in my life. You know, I'd be a saint where I lived. It was a small village. Up to now, everybody there will still invite me for lunch, dinner. I was invited for everything. I was their son's best friend. The parents would all call me. But when I would go out to any clubs or parties, like, you know, it was the worst behavior. Like, I should be shocked at myself, you know. So I always lived this two-sided life. And, you know, people talk about trauma and stuff, and I don't think I had any trauma in that sense, but I know when my behavior really changed was around, so life was good. The entire 2000s, from like 2005, I worked till like 2015. And I worked with my brother, and things were good. Life was really good. Like, I would do things. There was consequences like every other alcoholic, so I didn't think anything was bad. And also, I didn't expose most of my consequences. I tried to solve them wherever I could, so it wasn't like a big problem. No one could intervene because no one knew about them. And I would get bailed out by family, whether it was the police or paying for stuff off or in debt or whatever. And people always gave me a second chance, and I took advantage of that, you know. Everyone in my family always gave me chances. So in 2015, I got really sick, and then by the end of 2015, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I went for chemo at the end of 2015. And I forgot to add that, you know, I grew up Christian, and I've always believed in God and my mom, because my mom was the one that used to talk to me about God, and her perseverance, her love, to me, that's like, you know, what a godly person is. She has a lot of faith. She's always positive. She's really committed. And I never hear her say an unkind word about anyone or to anyone. So I always felt close to God because of my mom. Because she would always pray for me. Every day she would pray for me. And so when I was diagnosed with cancer, I prayed. I remember just like, you know, what that will be done. I remember saying that as soon as I got the diagnosis. And I was fine. Like, I had a good relationship with God. And I went through my chemo. I was drinking. I would drink in a car park before chemo. I should tell myself that, by that time I was drinking like 4 or 5 times a day. I would tell myself the chemo medication is worse than alcohol, and I would drink like four doubles in the morning, you know. And my friends, if they were doing night shift and they wanted to visit me in hospital, I'll tell them bring alcohol, and I would go drink with them. And it was mad, you know, because there I'm dying, I'm losing my hair, I'm like skinny, but I would still drink. And got through that, and that's when I guess I got angry with the world. Like, didn't see it then, but I became very arrogant, very entitled. I lost empathy for people. So if anyone would say they got a chest pain or a fractured leg or whatever, I'll be like, that's nothing. But I'll say it in my head, you know, to kind of elevate myself and minimize their problem. And I would never, so I could never show compassion for people. My first thing was, y'all don't know anything, what you're complaining about, you know? And it was my last week of radiation. We went for a 50th party with my in-laws, and there was a whole bunch of people. And I wasn't drinking heavy at that time. I was drinking like 3 days a week maybe throughout my treatment. And I got drunk the entire weekend. I drank from Thursday, we were away in Pretoria. I drank from Thursday to Monday. These people have not seen me in a long time. All they know that I was going for chemo and radiation, and next minute they see me and I'm drunk the entire weekend. No regard for my life, no inappropriate with people, just a problem, a nuisance, you know. The flight back, I was in the toilet the entire way, throwing up, regretting everything, and it's not someone who valued life, you know, I come to see, because that's another thing, I never valued my life, like ever. And yeah, that was my turning point, I guess. 2017, I started working with my brother again. I tried to get my life back in order, because I was quite weak and there was a lot of, you know, side effects. And I was working, and my mom started getting Alzheimer's at that time. And I kind of latched onto that, and I'm like, y'all don't care about mom and this and that. And one day my brother in the office told me, you know what, you're always bringing home issues into the office. Why don't you go home, spend time with mom if you're concerned about her so much, and I'll pay you your salary. And I was at the desk, and I just closed the work I was doing. I said, okay, you better make sure. And I went home. And my brother paid my salary my entire 2017. So yeah, I'm at home, getting paid, drinking at 12 o'clock every day. My dad comes home at 4, I'm going to the pub. I come back at 10. And that Christmas we had a huge fight where my siblings intervened and said it's best that I move out again. So I told Mandy, and she looked for a place. Mandy was living down the south coast, and she found a place, but we could only move in. I had a job at a refinery that was from January to March, and I could move after that from Durban. And I was happy. And I moved to Pennington at the beginning of 2018, with my brother still paying my salary, which I would use, and I was doing nothing. That's the entitled person I was, you know. I just woke up every day, drank, walked on the beach, and I was 35 years old, and I thought that's my life. Yeah, then 3 months later, my dad assaulted my mom again, and she moved out. She moved in with my sister, and then my resentment, which I kind of thought I left, was like, there, you'll see. It was always him all along, you know. And then she was staying with my sister in 2018, and my dad was worrying them. So I said, okay, bring it. Then I became a savior, because they said, can we send mom to y'all? And I'm like, yes, I love my mom. You know, bring her here, I'll be the rescuer. And my mom came to live with us in 2019. And we got a bigger place, and my mom came there, and we got a caregiver, and there I am. People were messaging me, wow, well done, you're taking care of your mom, you're such a good son, and you know, I'm loving it. But I'm like drunk every day. And my brother then came that same 2019 for my mom's birthday, and I was pissed drunk the entire day. My cousins were laughing at me, and it was bad, you know, I didn't have any regard for anyone. And then that October was my birthday. My brother sent me money. I would make up all these excuses that I would like to go down to Rivi Gorge and spend the weekend and spend some time in nature. My brother would give me money to book the place, but as soon as money's in my account, I'll drink it. And I had no return in the end, and it was November was Mandy's birthday, and I promised, but this time I was drinking, like passing out 3 times a day, drinking the entire day, waking up, drinking, passing out, waking up, blacking out, not knowing what I'm saying, what I'm doing, don't know if it's real or not. Don't know if I really swore this person, or I phoned this person, if I did that, if I did this. Didn't know what reality was. I was throwing up blood. I couldn't walk properly. I was getting spasms all over. It was exactly like how I was when I was going for chemo, exactly the same way. And I don't know what to do. that last week of my drinking, from the 25th of November to the 28th, I was in blackout the entire time. It was Mandy's birthday. I had spoiled it. I know she was crying. And on the 28th of November, I was fighting with her, and my mom came out of her room. At this time, my mom's memory was literally one day at a time. And I used to use that. I'll be like, look, every morning she'll wake up and say, good morning, son, and she'll love me. And she wouldn't know what I did the day before. And she told me that night, I never raised you to be this person. How can you treat, I left your father for treating me this way, and it breaks my heart for me to see you treat someone else that way. And I was broken. You know, I went to my room, I carried on drinking. I woke up on the 29th of November, and I don't even know, because I just walked. I never ever thought about rehab. I never ever thought about getting help. I didn't know there was help. I honestly didn't know there was help. And I went and I said, can you please find me a rehab? And they found me a rehab. And my life changed that morning, I guess. I went up to rehab, and I know this is my experience, but I felt peace within half an hour, an hour. There was just something about going into this place. Like, I just felt like, okay, things are going to be okay. But it wasn't major peace. There was a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. I guess because I hadn't felt peace in so many months, that little bit of peace was just enough for me. And I had to detox because my drinking was so bad that I couldn't walk properly. My hands were shaking. I couldn't hold a glass. I couldn't remember. I would have a nap and wake up and be like, where am I? And I got in on a Friday. The Monday I started the normal thing. I slept the weekend. In the morning I remember going for Big Book and being in this room with all these people that are trying to get better, and then trying to figure out that what's happening here. And then the step work started. And I'm quite a problem maker, If I see everyone doing one thing, I want to do the opposite. And everybody's like doing the step work, and I'm like, these guys are all like such followers. Like, how did they get 18 grown men to just sit and write in books, And I'm like, no, this can't be. Is this what it's about? And and then I started doing my step one. I started doing it honestly. And many will know the writing is not good then, and it changes. But I remember I was so guilty. I was so broken. I was so defeated that I wanted to get everything out. That's all I wanted to do. And I started getting better. It was almost like, I can't carry this. Because for months before I got into rehab, I was trying to quieten my mind with anything I could use. And my mind could not stay quiet. And something told me, I just had to get everything out. And when I was on step 2, I would say that was another God moment for me. I was in a Big Book session, and someone kept mentioning the word solution. There is a solution. And my step book was also talking about, how we're greater than ourselves. And I'm like, okay, I can feel a change. But at that time, I didn't know how long I was staying. I thought I was going to be there like a week or two. And then I heard about the 3-month program. So I said, no, if I feel so good after 2 steps, I want to know what happens after 12, There's something here. And I went and asked my sponsor, what's the process? And can I phone my parents? It was a Thursday. Can I phone my family to ask them if they can pay for my rehab? Because, it wasn't a little money. And me already borrowing so much, I was so fearful to ask them for anything. And I phoned home and I asked Mandy, I told Mandy, I want to ask you something. And she said, what, you want to stay longer? And I said, yes. I said, can you phone my brother and ask me if he'll pay? He said, I already did. And he said, yes. I promise you, that was like the most happiest moments of my life, In fact, 3 months ago, I was talking to my brother, and he's done a lot for me since. But I told him the biggest gift you ever gave me was paying for my rehab. And my journey started, it's not easy. I learned a lot. I hid a lot of my behavior. I complied, but I also was willing to learn. I was very willing to learn. I didn't want to mess up more. I guess I didn't want to, I'm someone that doesn't want to be told anything bad. So in order for me not to be told anything bad, I'll try not to do anything bad, So I did that, but I got concerned many times. And the first concern was I was acting like a ghost in the house. No one knew anything about me, and I didn't know anything about them. And that was my thing. I didn't like telling people about me. So I won't ask you how you're doing, because the next question you're going to ask me how I'm doing. So I won't ask you about your family, because so you don't ask me about my family. So I would never do that. And I had to get to learn how to make friends. Anyway, yeah, he jumped on that wagon. He's like, yeah, you don't ask me anything. And I got to know everyone in that house, 35 people, the people's dogs' names, their likes. And at first I did it so they didn't take away my visits and my phone calls. But then it became like I enjoyed it. And I remember one day going on the flower spiritual duty, and there was a lady that was a botanist there, and she came with me in the garden, and she named me the plants and showing me how to arrange things. And I started just enjoying people, because I only enjoy people like me, people that drank, people that caused chaos, people that were cruel, people that were inappropriate. I love the dark side of people, And yeah, I'm learning for the first time at 37 years old, learning how to have normal, wholesome conversations, and just being like how we sit in a room and like nothing, no alcohol, no stimulant, no crazy stuff going on, but just living life like that. I couldn't even fathom that I could just live life without anything, without any kind of form of entertainment or and yeah. So the steps went well, and I became house leader, and I was so unhappy. As soon as they told me that, I had no other position, so I didn't see it coming. I was expecting first like duty monitor, and then next minute house leader, and I was angry because now I had to worry about people, and I hated that. My whole purpose is to get better and not care about people, because I don't want to. I was that person, if I walked on the balcony and I saw there's a serious conversation, someone said, I'll turn around and go the other way. It's not my thing, don't kill my vibe kind of thing. And I learned now, and then now you got a whole house of people coming up to you and asking you stuff. I need to make a phone call, I need this, I need that. And it's for the first few days I'll be like, the happiest day of my life, the happiest time of my day is 10 o'clock, lights off. I don't have to deal with anyone anymore. And then I got, I messed up, and then I got taken off house leader. But I remember I had 2 more weeks left. And the week before I left, someone acknowledged me for saying, Ian's not house leader anymore, but he still cares about all of us. And he's still there to help us. And I was like, whoa. And at my leaving group, I sat there processing everything that happened in that 3 months. And I saw how amazing it was, like, my sponsor and the other counselors, how they managed to bring out some assets in me. Because I did love people, but I was too selfish to do it consistently. I did want to help people, but it was always on my terms and my time. But I really wanted to, And I sat there in awe of this model, like how the positions, the concerns, and the positions are all aimed at me going out there and making it about others. That was amazing to me, because that changed my life there. And I came out, and within 2 weeks, the meetings were like my saving grace. I would hold on every day. I would say I went home to Mandy and my mom, and I would do I'll just whole day I would say the Serenity prayer 6 times, and then get to the meeting. So I didn't know how to live sober. And lockdown hit within 2 weeks, and I was scared, I was terrified. And the Zoom meeting started up within a week or two, and I was doing about 5 a day, and I loved it. And every day I would connect to that. And the first year wasn't bad, By 7 months in, my family kind of saw the change in me, and they were really proud of me and really happy for me. And yeah, obviously amends was the biggest thing on my mind. I just want to add that when I was doing step 1, step 2, I had a moment where I was like, I wish I could stay in rehab forever, because there's no way I'm going to be able to change everything I've done. Not only change it, there's no way I'm going to amend these relationships. There's no way, I didn't want to face the people. In my 4 and 5, whatever, I didn't want to face anyone. If I could run away and just feel better about myself, I would have done it in that moment, because there was no way I could ever fathom that I could change the picture. And I started to change the picture, I got concerned in my life story feedback. Someone told me you say you care about your mom, but you're drunk all the time. How can you care about someone when you're drunk all the time? And I was adamant that I pack her medication, I give her medication, and I cook her 3 meals a day. But I saw that I can't be 2 people, I can't be the selfish alcoholic and claim that I care. And I started to do that with purpose now in my first year, because all I had was, I was at home with mom, and that was it. And I started to spend more time with her, and that was the first thing I think I got to change, was the way I treated my mom, the way I made her feel. So that was the first thing I could actively do. And then I got a sponsee, which gave me another responsibility. And then he relapsed 3 months later, and I was devastated. And then I learned also another lesson that I just got to do what I can for that person to the best of my ability, and that's it, you know. And I was sad, but my sponsor said, "But did you do everything you could for him?" And I'm like, "Yes." And so I learned then that I got to do things without expectation. That's a huge thing of mine, is expectation. If I put my action, or if I give my opinion about something, you have to take it. You know, you have to take it and you have to do it. And if you don't, then me and you have a problem. And that's expectation. So, yeah, I remember hanging on. I did my 1 year share. And I'll skip the relationship part and family stuff. But so in 2 years, then I removed my brother, who kept asking me about alcohol, and because he was having problems with it. And when I was about 1 year, and here's my brother who's done everything for me, and there was no way this is what I thought. Remember I said that there's no way I can change the picture. He's taken care of me financially my whole life. He just bought us a house at the end of my 1 year. It had nothing to do with me. It was my mom. The intention was for my dad to come and move from Durban with us to Scottsboro. And here he is now, one day messaging me, "Hey, Ian, how did you stop drinking? And can you help me with that?" And I was like, wow, you know. And in that moment, I was like, whoa, I can do something for my brother. You know, I can help him. And that journey for him was long. So that Christmas, so sorry if I jump around, but it's the first year of my recovery. My sober day is the 6th of December. I get the 1 year. My sister's hosting Christmas. We go to fetch my dad in Durban to take him to my sister's flat. And my dad and I get into this huge fight before the lunch. Here I am, 1 year, supposed to be special and calm and serene, and I can still picture in the room sorting out my resentment with my sponsor, my dad, and I don't have a resentment anymore. And here I am, he says one thing and I want to choke him, and we swear at each other. And you know, I'm like, and I was in this frenzy. We're literally walking from the car park to my sister's apartment, and we're going at each other. Well, I'm going at him. And we get there, and Mandy was 1 month in recovery, or 2 months in recovery, and she looks at me and like, what the hell, like, you know? And I'm just sitting there, and then it hits me. And like, everyone is fine. It's my niece's birthday, it's Christmas, everyone's having fun, and I'm just like, what have I done, you know? And then the program kicks in. I sat like for an hour and a half. She told me, you can't sit like that, you know? I waited for my dad to go out on the balcony to have a cigarette, and I went and I apologized to him. Because I thought, you know, that's all I can do is follow in the program. Times of need, I have to follow in the program. And I apologized to him. I felt a bit okay. It was a Friday, and we rushed back for a meeting. And Wendy and Yvonne, the meeting was up here, were the only ones at that meeting. And I went in, and I took my mom also because we didn't have time to go home and leave her. And I went, and that's all I know is to apologize, go to a meeting, share, connect, and learn. That's all I know. That's all I learned in rehab. You know, I'm going to mess up, but do the next right thing, do the next right thing. And I went and I shared about it, that this is what I did after this Christmas lunch, and I saw my dad, and you know, all the shit. And yeah, and I felt guilty. Because I remember how long it took. 9 days later, my dad phoned me and he was fighting with me, and I kept quiet. I didn't react. And then I felt a bit better that I don't have to react every time someone fights or swears. So then my dad moving with us was cancelled because he proceeded to fight with my sister after that, with my brother, and they phoned and said, you're moving into this new house, but he can't come there. You'll have a good thing going, and it's going to get messed up. So we moved into the house alone. And then I get a job. I get a job at Enzo's in Scottsboro. The job taught me like so much. You know, I was a person I grew up with. If you tell me, I will match your energy. In fact, I will double your energy. If you're bad to me, I'll be twice as bad to you. And yeah, I'm at a restaurant where the customer's always right, no matter how they treat you. I hope you enjoy your day, sir. Have a nice time. You know, no matter what they say. They'll be like, the pizza is burnt, and I want to tell them I don't cook the pizza. But I'm like, I'm sorry, sir, I'm going to take this to the kitchen, and you know, I'll remedy it for you. And people used to swear me at work, people were nice, and I learned how to look at the good and not the bad. Because one day I was talking to my manager, and 2 people were rude to me that day, but 14 were kind, and that's the ratio, you know. I always look at the bad. And I learned a lot in that job. I got a lot of spirituality. I learned how to just love making people happy. And in my 3rd year of recovery, I started getting involved a lot in prison service. I was doing it in my second year, but in my third year, I was put in charge to do this one prison in Port Shepstone. And I used to bond with the guys a lot. We'll take a nice drive, and that's when my recovery and my service really started getting more about hands-on with people, not just about the people that I meet at meetings or the people that come my way. I was more going out there and, trying to be a part of people's lives, so trying to carry the message. And I started doing a lot of stuff in Durban, going for a lot of shares. If I see someone's on a share 30 years, 35 years, 40 years, I'm going for it, And then I got to see that the different perspectives, the same message. Like, up here or down here, we hear like anything we put before our recovery, we'll lose. And I'll hear there people will say your recovery is more important than gold or your relationship or your marriage, the same thing, but I'll hear different perspectives. And I will get like powered up, I'll come back hyped. Like I was like kind of addicted to going to milestone shares all around. And I went to Port Elizabeth this year. This year's been amazing, A lot of gifts of recovery have happened in my second and third year. And when I say gifts, I'm talking about the stuff that I thought I wanted. The jobs, the home, the amends. Amends were big, my sister moved to Joburg 2 years ago, and before she went, she came to spend some time with us, and then she told me something like, I can finally leave Durban knowing that you're in peace and that you're okay and you'll be okay. I was 39 years old. I was like, damn, And so that was like a man for me, like, okay, you don't have to worry about me anymore. And then 6 months later, she was in trouble, like she had some problems in her marriage, and she flew down, but she didn't tell me. And she flew down, and when we fetched her and we came home, the first thing she said was, I've been having a hard 2 weeks. I almost had a mental breakdown. All I could do was think of spending time with a weekend with you. And I was like, wow, I thought amends was getting people not to be angry with me, getting people to just accept me for who I am. I didn't think that I'll be an asset to them, and that was amazing for me. My brother had his time drinking. Every time he relapsed, he would come and fetch me or meet us in Durban, have a lunch and pick my brain on recovery. In November, he's been 2 years sober. He's living his best life. I'm like so happy for him, because like most or all our colleagues, like when me and him got sober, our families were the biggest benefactors of our sobriety, And so end of last year, I started feeling guilty about my dad, because I know I've got unfinished business there, that I always have to actively work on that amend. And I spoke to Mandy, my sponsor, and my family, and I said, I want to bring Dad over. I feel guilty that my mom has a good life and we got so much to do for her, and he lives alone. I remember someone asked me, I'm not sure if it was my brother or someone, like, why now? What changed? He's still the same. And I said, yeah, but I'm not the same, And we brought my dad over last year in November, and he messed Christmas up. He swore at our guests, and it was cool. I kept quiet. I never said a word. 3 days later, calm, I'm working a program. I'll speak to him 3 days later. I spoke to him 3 days later, he gave it to me. He said that he's going to kick me out of the house, and I don't know, I live in another world. And yeah, I was shocked, so I kept quiet. Then that March, we had another fight, we had another fight where, again, this time it was bad. He basically said to me, you think you change, you've not, you might as well just go drink now. He said some nasty things. And my heart kind of sank for a second. And then I'm like, no, you know what? I was also sick. I said so many nasty things. I was also nasty, The whole thing about forgiveness for me is if I've done the same thing, I can't judge you. I can't, or I shouldn't. Not I can't, I shouldn't. I shouldn't judge you because I don't want to be a hypocrite. The biggest thing that I was always a hypocrite. As long as I'm judging, I don't look at myself. As long as I'm taking your inventory, I can't see my wrongs. So I don't try to look at the good. I try to treat everyone as the same platform. And my dad's relationship and I are good. We had to make new rules and stuff, and we're good. We're good. We haven't fought in a long time. I care about him deeply. Like if he needs stuff done in his flat, he stays in the flat next door. I will do it. His fridge packed up, and I'm like, okay, I'll give him a fridge. And then a week later, he was rude. I'm like, I'm not giving him the fridge. And then I'm like, no, there's my nastiness again. Dad, take the fridge. It's up and down. Like there's small things, but for me, it's like the program always overcomes, my old, selfish, vindictive resentful way of thinking. And yeah, back to this year, it's been a very calm year. I got to go to the Port Elizabeth rally. I just saw that wallpaper and something about it hit me, like, I don't know, like I wanted to go, like I had to be there. It was 3 months prior. And I asked people, and a lot of people were busy, they couldn't make it. But I said I had to go. So I learned in AA there's a lot of action, I can't just talk. And that's another thing I've heard in all the shares I've been to, you walk the walk. And okay, so I spoke to Ben and I'm like, I want to go, I'm booking the accommodation. It's at the venue. And that way I'm taking the first step. And whatever happens, happens. If I don't go, I can give it to someone. And if I go, good. So I booked the accommodation and then we started checking for plane tickets a month later and they were like quite pricey. But then some work came in and Manny bought me tickets, so I was happy. And then the week before I was going, I was talking to another friend that was also going. He was going with his friends from Durban. And then I checked, we were comparing flights because we were talking about transport, and then the exact same flights going and coming. And I was happy. And we went to the airport together, and he got their own crew. And we landed, and there were like a lot of old-timers there. And they're like, no, jump in the car with us, Ian. We hired a car, come with us. And I was going with them. They took me to the venue. They waited for me to check in. And, it was the first time experiencing all this. I'm very self-reliant. And I'm like, no. And they're like, no, they took me in. And I stayed at the venue. There was a busload of Cape Townians there. I love Cape Townians. And they were all like over 25 years old. And I'm like this little kid around these giants. And, and in the morning, there's a cafeteria and we're having breakfast together. And I'm just sitting there and listening to all the stories. It was like one of the most amazing times of my recovery. No pressure. Just sit there and take stuff in. And I did that the Saturday, the Sunday, and I got back home again. Those guys that I went with, they brought me back. And, I was like taken care of. It was a weird thing because I'm very self-reliant. I like to be the one doing things for people. I like to always be in charge or leading. And I had a weekend where so much was done for me. I was very grateful for that. I came back home and like what I can say for the last 6 months, I've enjoyed recovery a lot. A lot's happened. We are part of the rally that happened a month ago. It was awesome. And I thought the rally was awesome. And then to hear all the feedback preceding that rally from everyone else, it just made us feel more wholesome, And like, I don't know if I missed anything out, but like with the spirituality part of it is like in this last month, I was trying to process stuff because every time it comes to the end of the year, I want to see like how much progress have I made. And before it'd always be like the house, the furniture, have I done stuff in the house, have I made my amends, have I done this, have I done that? And now it's like everything that I subconsciously learned in my first 1 and 2 years, I'm kind of practicing it now. Stuff like show up, like I should hear it from the beginning, just show up. And for anything in AA to be a success, whether it's a workshop, a meeting, someone share, a rally, we have to be a part of it, And I'm like, okay, that's good. I still remember those things and I'm trying to do all those things. And just be a part of everything that's about AA because my life's still small. I keep my physical life small. It's my family, my meetings, and everything. But the AA life it's gone big, I love that part of it. It's like, it's more, I know so many people, like I started off the share, I said, everyone in this room I don't know, I didn't meet prior to coming into recovery. And I have so many friends in recovery, so recovery has given me so many good people, there's no price on that, There's so many good people in my life that recovery has given me, and that's what connects me, and that's what I've been processing or connecting to this last month, is that there's so much of spirituality, there's so much of love, there's so much of care, that this one simple program has given me. It's given me, and I'm really grateful for that. So yeah, thanks for me, Chef.
Thank you.